All right, so I'm here with Pyrrho. Yes, it seems amazing, but it's happened. All right, now I don't know if it's going to mean everybody's going to die and there'll be some worse virus released or what's going to happen, but so far we've talked for 5 minutes and nobody's had to sling any dopey insults. So let's just see how far we can go, what we could actually discuss anything about the physical reality without disagreeing, which would really be impossible. Because basically Pyrrho sees everything I see upside down, inverted, and anally rectified. But anyway, so hello, Pyrrho.
Hello, Gary. It's wonderful to be together again.
Yes, it is. Charming, isn't it? So, all right. So, yes, basically we have a very different view of the physical world and the philosophical implications of that physical world, where I would be a true materialist, basically stating that there isn't anything beyond the clockwork of the universe. It's just a bunch of energy banging into stuff. It does it by basic, simple rules. And we're just playing out a silly little program. We're just basically fish that can sing and dance, and we can play a little tune now and then, but that's about it. We can scheme to kill our brothers and sisters, and we can screw people over and do all kinds of other scheming things, but we can't really do anything truly creative or truly interesting. We're just playing out a competitive game of, I'm better than you, and I'll prove it by being smarter or being more manipulative or inventing the new light bulb or whatever. And so both the physics is just plain futile, and the philosophical implication is that we're all doing this for absolutely nothing. We will not cure cancer in the universe. We won't make it a better place. We won't improve it. We're just going to keep throwing our children into a meat grinder over and over and over again. And it's really dumb.
So, okay, so you brought up the physics, and as we were discussing, it's like we're starting off on such a different foot in the physics because, and I don't really want to descend into it, but just at the level that you presented, I mean, I think we have a big sloshy world of wave with oil and water mixed, and then when the waves are really choppy, drops get spit out, and then the drops look like BBs, but, and so that we start off at a different step. On politics, well, no, the politics is the third thing. On the other hand, the whole meaning of life, I mean, I sort of concede. So I'm saying that's beyond what I can really decide. I'm pro-choice in the sense of the meaning of life is a personal decision. That doesn't mean that the people that make the personal decision that it's futile are wrong. It means I'm abstaining, which also has in the past offended you. Now, oddly, in the middle with politics, which you mentioned maybe bringing up, and I know we have some disagreements on like our critique of the Democratic Party, even though we both have them, there's actually there's potential compatibilities. We're still going to disagree, but not like right off the bat like these other things. Now, so what I'm saying is, in the physics, we definitely start off on the different feet. I think mine is totally mechanical, and A goes to B goes to C as well. It's just that it's fluid dynamics, and that's enough of a difference. On the meaning of life, our difference really is that you think, of course, we've used this term historically, or you have, that it's glib, that I abstain from saying what decision other people should have about the value of life. But I hope we could discuss those two things, but I would like to discuss sort of this political reality and stuff you were talking about, your critique of, basically how much liberals are fucking up. Maybe in their message, maybe in what they prioritize for real, or I'm not sure exactly, but, that general thing. Because I think, that's something we haven't already argued out to the end. We've discussed it, and it was years ago now. So, I mean, does that all make sense in terms of those two old topics we've had, and why maybe, there's a middle topic where that's more exploratory?
Yeah, well, all right. Yeah. I mean, the argument on the politics is just about the working class argument, that the liberals have become too much of the freeloader class, okay? The eccentric, high-maintenance people who think they're entitled to everything. I'm entitled to have a degree even if I don't go to college. I'm entitled to be called a great artist even though I never painted anything. I'm entitled. And The working class people are looking at that and they're just saying, gee, that really smells. How the hell can I vote for a party that really doesn't have anything to do with earning it? Okay, they all think they're entitled. Okay, they don't have to make anything, they don't have to do anything. They just should get a check in the mail constantly for just existing and smelling nice. It's that kind. I'm just saying, from the working class perspective, you're killing them. You're killing that vote in two respects. The working class knows there's no free lunch. There's no money from nowhere. It has to come out of somebody's pocket, so they know that. All right, and you're not doing anything but taking it out of their pocket. You're not taking it out of the rich man's pocket. You're not passing any higher taxes. You haven't increased taxes in, 35 years? There hasn't been a tax increase, something like that, a real one. Okay, the rich have gotten a free ride for the last 40 years. They have had nothing but their taxes drastically cut.
That's who's really
drastically cut, okay? And the other side of it is, you're saying, unlike the Liberal Party of 15 or 20 years ago, you're talking about opening borders and more immigration when the Liberal Party was against all of those things. They were vehemently against it.
The last Democrat, we haven't seen Biden, but the last Democrat, Obama, they said he had to open borders, and he didn't.
I know. Look, compared to Hillary, he was brilliant. But I'm just saying Hillary was obviously.
By reputation. What about that? I'm saying that the Democrats get this reputation of being for all those things, and the people that really are for those things wish, I'm
not denying there's some cheating rhetoric on the side of the Republicans, okay? I mean, obviously Obama didn't just invite them all in and give them all free houses or any of that crap. But I'm just saying, clearly the rhetoric of Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton was to distance them from Obama. They thought Obama was too far to the right. So I'm just saying the working class was already offended by Obama. And they were even further to the left. So I'm just saying they did know.
Bernie lost. It's
I know, but so did Hillary, and she lost on that subject. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but
we know
people thought she was dishonest, and she certainly
No, we know that has nothing to do with it. We know that has nothing to do with it. If Trump was a liberal, okay, he could have gotten rid of all his crimes, would have been forgiven. Okay, the philandering, the chauvinism, the racism, they all be forgiven if he was talking the liberal talk, and we know that Hillary was forgiving all of her crimes by the people who are going to vote for her. So this has nothing to do with it. Trump's policy is what got him elected. And his policy was, I'm going to stop the immigration. And that's what the working class wanted to hear. The old working class, okay? The people who are the linemen, the people with some skills who are trying to make a decent living. Those people know there's a huge threat, okay, from all these other countries of destroying their wages, and they're scared to death. And instead of, like I said, saying anything right, the Liberal Party keeps saying everything wrong.
I mean, when you say if Trump had said all the liberal things, I mean, I'm just thinking about Bernie Sanders. He said all the liberal things and he lost. Democratic voters are not, only like 20% of them at most are AOC, Bernie Sanders supporters. The rest think, oh, we need someone like Biden. We need, we support our military and our cops. And, yeah, we have to have a little bit of war and spy. All that right-wing stuff they passed with the Patriot Act. Most Democratic voters and politicians, almost 100%, still support that stuff. So it's kind of a reputational thing. Now, what you're saying does exist. There is this community that is not helping out. Like, they do offend this working class sensibility. But I also think that working class sensibility you're talking about that, wants people to earn things for themselves, they feel a little entitled too when push comes to shove. They're entitled, they're bothered by Kaepernick kneeling at the football. Who gives a damn? Why do they care? That's an entitlement, because he's doing a peaceful protest like you ask, instead of burning down AutoZone. So, people have these stupid things they get upset about, and the working class might, also want to have.
I understand, but there's still pragmatic politics. I'm just saying they're doing it right. They're rubbing the poo right in their face and making it unvotable. I'm just saying there's certain issues they're going to make a candidate unvotable for, right? Now, I'll never vote for a Republican because I know they all don't care about anything. The only thing they care about is money. And they're just saying, show me the money. Okay, and that means not only money for my friends, but me personally. Okay, and that's all they care about. So they want to make the rich richer and themselves richer, and there is no other issue. So I already know
like
that.
I have a cousin.
I know that about Republicans. I'm just saying, so I can never vote for a Republican. But I'm just saying, I can't in any way say there's any integrity in voting for the Democrats either, because they're so unrealistic. They will never be able to finance what they're trying to do. I mean, if they forgive student loans, to me, that is such an egregious offense to everybody who went to work to go through college, anybody who had, who did it the right way, who did it the honest way. It's just basically saying, oh, let's forgive everybody's mortgage. Let's forgive everybody everything, okay? You have a big credit card bill. Let's just wipe out your credit card bill. Yeah, oh, you lost some money gambling. Let's just give it back to you.
Well, that's interesting because, okay, so one, I know people and people I still love dearly that like don't like Trump, but that lean towards some of these more, it's not really conservative, but, American working class values, right, that make them, agree with you on the border or whatever. And it is true that it plays very badly, to them. And so, but what are you supposed to do? I mean, we're not just trying to, manipulate people. People have to figure out their own, they should figure out what's really going on. It used to be that the Republican Party had more than one faction. It wasn't taken over by Trump. But, if you're going to complain about Democrats at this point, they have the old style corruption, and at least they, believe a little bit in basic reality of statistics when more people die versus less people die. So I think that, the messaging to me is,
well, I'm just saying that
they've messaged themselves as Biden, not Bernie.
I'm just saying there's real demographics in the world. I'm just saying if you're not going to play the demographics game, you're going to lose the electoral college every single time. So we're probably going to have a presidential race sooner or later where somebody will actually win by 10 million votes nationally, and they'll lose the election because you're not playing the liberals aren't playing the strategy they have to play. They have to win Florida, okay? If they keep losing Florida, they're not going to win too many elections.
Yeah.
What
are they supposed to do then?
Well, the point is they have to quit saying to the people who have lived in America and lived in an America that was, yes, it was mostly white. Yes, it had certain traditions and certain cultures, and you have to give them, if you're going to give lip service to everybody else, you have to give them some lip service, and they're giving them none. All they're doing is hate speaking. True, yeah. They're hate speaking against them. Okay, they're calling them racist.
Riveter Rosie or whatever.
They're insulting.
Get in on that.
Well, did you see what the Trump voters look like? The people at the Trump rallies and stuff. Okay, these are biker guys. Okay, these are red-blooded Americans that aren't just racist. Okay, and so it's really stupid for the liberals to not realize how the hell do I have them voting for Trump? How do those working class people voting for Trump?
But it's because they've lied about every kind of leftist. They can say Obama's a communist, and then Bernie is not anymore leftist.
Again, it's just about immigration. You keep changing the subject, but the only issue. I don't
mean immigration. I mean all the leftist kinds of things.
I'm saying
the right has accused with stereotypes that have stuck. And what are you supposed to do about it? Because here, for example, let me say what I'm saying specifically. The BLM protest, that wasn't the Democratic Party. That was a lot of activists that also hate the Democratic Party going, we're doing it ourselves and getting almost no help. Then the Republicans successfully tie the BLM protests, give credit and blame all of the burned buildings and all the dead people, some of whom were killed by conservatives. And that somehow gets blamed all on the Democrats. And it's like, I don't really want to defend those idiots, but it's not exactly fair. They weren't really behind the BLM protests.
Well, again,
what are they supposed to do?
You're saying they're describing something that you don't even want it as part of your politics, because you already know that people who stand in the middle of Times Square and the street and block traffic, you lose votes every time you do that, okay? You lose, all right? Yeah. Okay? Is the act up strategy doesn't work, okay? It loses your constituency. It doesn't gain you people who become sympathetic. It gains you people who are fed up with you, okay? It makes you a problem child. It makes you...
Well, I don't know. Sometimes that's worked, Gary. Can't we? I mean, sometimes, right?
I would argue that logic works. Martin Luther King's logic was fantastic, and that worked. Okay, I don't think they had to go any further than that kind of eloquence and showing it, proving it. Okay, let's prove that we can behave better than them. Okay, that's what they did. The protest.
Okay, that's a coherent theory. I'm not sure I agree totally, but yeah, I mean, mostly I'm for that. Certainly, like nonviolent, and even ideally, just performative. I don't know, concert at the park is better than blocking traffic with your bicycles.
Well, I'm just saying the 60s, still the revolution happened in terms of the Civil Rights Act. But if you go back to Philadelphia and what happened in Newark, where those cities were burned down, that didn't do the cause any damn good at all. Okay, that was a huge that was a huge liability to overcome. It was not an asset to the cause.
Yeah, but that goes in both ways. Like, I have conservative relatives that feel that way about the Capitol riot, and I mean, I feel it was pretty much decided for that kind of a situation. But the fact is, there's 10 times as many people out there with their little flags or whatever, even Q supporters.
But they were all yahoos, okay? They were jokes, okay? Those were joke people, right? Those are the same people that show up for the Democrat conventions with their silly hats and their silly bullshit, okay? These are not the people that make or break your party, okay? Those people are the fringe. They're puppets. Some
of the people there though were just like, it was a a regular protest, go out and clean the park. I mean, it's an active thing, they think, and they weren't there. What I'm saying is, even some of the crazy people that are just there for QAnon and wearing hats, they weren't there to actually, break windows at the Capitol, and it's like, so every protest has that. When I used to go more actively to protests or marches or whatever, usually it's like around late evening when it's twilight, the crowd shifts. And the kids that coming in from the city that want to, break in, and the frat boys, they go down and have the riot.
I don't know. Look, there's a huge difference between college protesters, okay, intellectuals who are going out to protest and get a little rowdy, and rednecks, okay? And obviously the Trump was full of rednecks, who are, these are ignorant Alabamians or something. This wasn't an ideological protest.
What do you think's going to happen with this? Is there going to be if Q and people are going to have to face facts, you think there'll be any actual militant thing, people that try to storm?
I'm saying underlying all of this is that, that's when I made the fake Sagan video, because, fake Sagan made a video with his AK-47s in the background and his flag, and I pointed out how he looks like a Muslim, talks like a Muslim, acts like a Muslim, and this is a homebred,
fundamentalist.
And I'm just trying to make the point that, the Republicans in the Senate were also scared, okay? So Lindsey Graham is scared shitless, okay? He's having people heckling him in the airport, all right? He can't even walk through an airport where these people feel so bold that they're calling him a traitor and all these words in an airport, okay? In public places. Well, I'm just saying, his own people are doing that. So he's probably saying to himself, I don't want these people owning guns. All right, I'm not saying they're going to pass any legislation, but I'm sure they're all well motivated to say we have to keep an eye on these people because these are a lot of loose cannons out there. These people are dangerous. I mean, they stormed the U.S. Capitol. They broke in. They killed guards. You know what I'm saying? This is not a minor...
You're saying an interesting thing, because I've wondered what they would do, and having to cower in the Capitol affected both sides, and yet so much they've come out like, we're not going to stab you guys in the back. You're our friends. But you know what? I think you're onto something. I think something they can do is when it's the CIA and the FBI.
Exactly. I'm just saying.
Bust them, find the ones with guns.
I'm just saying they clearly know these people could be very expensive. I'm just saying they're going to profile them, and they're going to say, if you ever arrest this guy, you arrest him in his car, you arrest him at work, you never arrest him at home, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be lists like that because these people have demonstrated that they're willing to play on that level.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, there's some true believers in Congress and even the Senate right now.
You think they're true believers? They're not true believers. They think Trump is an asshole. Don't be fooled.
What about, this one? What's this one? This lady's been getting a lot of press last couple
Well, she's
days,
just plain cracker nuts, right? But she's just talking to her constituent. Right. Has a total
I do agree she's a true believer, but she's also just
she's not a true believer. No, she's just she's just feeding her constituency. She has a constituency constituency.
True believer.
No, she has a constituency.
A lot of these small business owners that are the millionaires, you know, the local millionaires, they are Trump supporters, man. I know.
They're supporters of Trump, but only on the policy of making the rich richer. Okay? Her constituency are morons, and she wants to tell them, yeah, I'm for you guys, the people, but she knows she's not for those.
That's what Lindsey Graham's doing.
They're all...
And Cruz, but I think some of those in the Congress especially, they really are some of the people that have fallen for that.
Oh, they haven't fallen for anything. They're just waiting for check. They're waiting for Trump's check in the mail. Get real. They're waiting for their check in the mail.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, because I actually think the true believers there is worse than these, you know, Nixon Southern strategy, where a guy that's probably not that racist.
There's nothing to believe in Trump. What is there to believe? He's been totally outed as an incompetent moron. There's nothing to believe in. What is Trump? What is Trump? What has Trump offered? Just no. Let me finish the sentence. What has Trump offered to the Republican platform? Name me one piece of political legislation or one ideological notion that Trump that Trump is the icon for. He's a poster child for nothing. He has done nothing. He knows nothing. He doesn't even. I thought he would at least out the fact that they've been borrowing money from the FDIC insurance fund, where it's $7 trillion in deficit, and that they took all this money out of the in the Reserve Bank, where they have $8 trillion of debt in the Reserve Bank. I thought he would out some of that stuff at least, and he didn't even do that.
Yeah, no, I thought there would be some of that kind of stuff too, or Assange or something, because he marketed to those people enough, and they were asking a lot. Yeah, nothing like that.
All he did was, I hate foreigners, tax cuts for the rich. Was there any other? Was there any other policy? Was there any other initiative? Was there any other conversation that Trump has any meaning to?
But there's a lot of regular citizens that are still true believers in Trump, and so those guys, that's who they're still selling out to.
I know.
I believe some of them are.
I know, but do you know what that says? That's just being a Yankee fan. And even if you find out that your players rape people and your players have beat their wives and your players did this, that's just a Yankee fan saying.
I've never seen it after somebody lost. Like with Bush, they were like that, and then when Bush lost, immediately it starts to fade until 2 years later they're all like, yeah, we didn't like that war.
Well, they have to do it because they have to try to keep redeeming the notion that we need the wall. We need to keep. They have to keep putting that pressure on. If they're allowed to disgrace Trump, then they disgrace Trump's wall. Then they disgrace the idea of stopping immigration. So you have to understand the policy is invested in Trump. Trump is the holdout for the policy. The Republicans weren't going to stop immigration because the Republicans don't want to.
Yeah.
All right.
So do you think would an example be like defund the police? Is that one of these things that the Democrats are complicit in, not shutting down? Is that an example of what you're talking about?
Well, I don't know if I go that far. I mean, that's a tough issue now, just because the fact is the police usually are ex-military, and you have to have a real concern that they have an ideological bent. That the police, you can't trust them to serve, the actual Constitution they're supposed to be serving. So, that's going to be that's a burden to walk into in the future, in the sense that, we're going to have to start vetting police, because it's becoming more and more obvious that they do have political agenda.
So it's more like the border stuff is a strong example.
Well, I'm just saying that's the example of stopping immigration. So I'm just saying that's the glaring example.
Well, to me, that's a terrible one for the Democrats, because they've actually continued. Who knows what Biden will do? But they continue to do the strong border, but then they play it to their own base, like, no, we're not. And then they play it to the
I'm just saying that
yeah, we are. And everybody's like, you're full of shit either way. And then they get no credit and can be accused of anything, and I agree that they've failed on that. Of course, I'm on the more open board. I do believe you should have, border to check people for influenza or whatever. But, I obviously support that more, but I feel like that party doesn't,
let's argue that statement then, because this is the logic that doesn't.
I don't mind them not emphasizing. I'm
just
in the minority,
I'm just saying that this is the part, though, that's going to make Democrats unvotable for, because what's your counter argument to the statistical fact that it's a huge burden on the welfare rolls, that all of these children Okay, a lot of pregnant illegals. And the fact is this just is a. Why shouldn't somebody see this as you're taking my? I mean, I'm paying $8,000 in property $850 in property taxes every year.
I believe all the welfare plans should be various kinds of work plans. Even somebody that's at home, disabled, that literally can't do anything. No, they work by letting the local UCSF doctors come and study them.
I'm talking about the political reality, not what you wish the Democratic Party implemented.
Right.
Okay.
No, I admitted that. I admit it. I'm saying ideally you don't have that kind of welfare state. What do we do practically in the meantime? Is I would say go ahead and burden the welfare state if that's reality. We also get the workers, and then once that burden is there, we look at it every year, and that would be the reason.
All right, I'll give you the reaction of the working class person and just say, well, that's just talk then. You're just promising me you're going to fix it someday. In the future, you'll pay the bills. In the future, you'll do this. In the future, you'll do that.
The thing is, I don't have strength in the party. We're not going to do this. That's the point. The party does not.
I know, but the argument is what is the party saying, and do the words matter? And I'm saying, yes, they really matter. They're really important. And what they're saying is they're giving every signal to somebody who does care about fiscal responsibility, somebody who knows their property taxes are going to keep going up, okay, based on these policies. You're just telling me.
Here's the thing. Who's really importing and giving jobs to illegal aliens coming through the Mexican border is mostly small business.
I understand, but you could stop that with the simplest exactly my point. That's exactly my point. Okay, they're the ones for pro-immigration. They started it. Okay, Reagan's the one that increased immigration by 2 million people a year. Okay, while he was stopping immigration.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
so how can the dumbass Democrats are like lamos?
Exactly. How can they lose this argument?
But they get blamed for things they don't actually believe. So you can't say stop believing it because they don't believe it.
It's not what they believe. It's what they do. Okay, so
you are talking about their stupid marketing. Like they should not be trying to pretend they're woke bros when they're really in the center, because it's really in the center is what people want to vote for. Yeah, no, I agree with that. If that's your assessment, in which case, like, what messaging should they do? And also, I'm curious, actually, like with AOC. I mean, I like her, but she's also pulling from this further left thing you're saying is death to Democrats. But I think she should play that role, even if you're right, because then Biden could say, look what I'm holding back, Republicans. You sure you don't like me? And I think that's good politics.
Well, I mean, it's good politics for Biden for the next 4 years in terms of trying to work a deal with Republicans, but they already know Biden. They've known Biden he's been in the Senate for 60 years or whatever the fuck it is. Biden's already a known quantity. So this is.
You think he is known? Because I just said he was known as a centrist, but it does look like he's going to be a little more. Maybe I can go out as
he's only placating. Okay, you know that. Okay, he doesn't want to do any of this shit. He's just doing it because he has to. He's already made the deals to get elected. He made these deals. You know, and that's all he's doing is meeting his contractual obligations. Okay, so we'll see the real Biden in the last year. That's when you'll see the real Biden.
Okay, so I got a little bit distracted, but I was also listening. My camera's off because my lovely wife is here for a second.
Yeah.
But so what do you think the scheme is? Okay, so you think he really is the old crime Bill Biden still?
I don't think his fundamental values have changed at all. No, of course not.
And you do believe he has fundamental values, because that's the other thing, is that he was always just kind of a sellout to whoever whatever businesses were in Delaware. But you do think he has those centrist values from.
Well, to say he has no values. I'm not saying he's just a crook for Delaware. Of course he has some deeper political ideology. I mean, he ran for president. I mean, this isn't some new thing that he did. This was something he always thought he had a better idea.
Well,
and it's not just about making money, and especially now. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm just saying that's fine. So you think he more or less is who he is. He's a politician. Not that he wouldn't sell out or bend, but basically he is the centrist, and so you think he's going to carry that through. But you think he's going to pander to the left because of what's happened with Trump and the AOC and Bernie Wing for like 3 years, and then we'll see what happens in the midterm elections, of course. But
you know, he might try before the midterm elections, he might try to get some of those working class voters back who now have the taste of Trump out of their mouth. You know what I mean? Who now could possibly go back to being a Democrat. So if there's enough, you know, if the noise dies down enough and they see that he's not some person who just thinks, you know, we should turn this into a shithole, that this should be a third world country. You know, they have some idea that he's going to try to preserve some sort of working, earn it America. Then maybe he'll try to do that before the midterms.
I'm a little worried he'll try to do that, but do it in the wrong way. Like, he should play straight to those people that want $2,000, but think somehow, you know, Ted Cruz is on their side. He could, but I'm afraid he'll do it by trying to like cooperate with Republicans. But what do you think's going on? I'm sure you know right now about, he said we're going to have unity and he met with Republicans, but then there's the subtext of, yeah, unity is I'm giving you a chance to vote with me, but I will do it within reconciliation. You know about that whole like dynamic right now, right? Like, he's doing unity, but is it going to be unity?
There's no such thing. There's no such thing anyway. We already know that Republicans Republicans vote Republican, Democrats vote Democrat, but the Democrats have a bunch of blue dogs.
Force his ideas through with 51 votes, or is he going to actually do unity? Like, no, we need.
He has to do unity in his own party. Okay, he's got the blue dog Democrats are essentially just socially liberal Republicans.
Yeah, and they like to pander to
well, I'm just saying.
That they
so
agree with, but
he can't guarantee the majority has in the Senate. All right, he doesn't own that majority. It's a statistical majority, but it's not a real majority.
And stuff,
well, I'm just saying, it's just like the polls always say the Democrats way ahead when the Democrat isn't way ahead. You know, that kind of thing. It's a lie to think the Democrats are controlling the Senate, because they're really not. Okay.
Well, there's these centrist Democrats still that would like to be like the old Republicans that have almost disappeared. You know what I mean? And
well, I'm just saying they're a real.
Everybody wanted to filibuster.
They really exist. I'm just.
To know what's going to happen now, though, right? We haven't seen this. We're, you know, you're a little older than me, but we've watched politics since we were kids. I haven't really seen quite this situation.
I'm just saying. Do you have much confidence that the Georgia Democrats are going to be on the Bernie Sanders side of okay, it's not going to happen, all right? So
I mean, I'm not totally sure about impeachment, but it looks like they've been maneuvered into going with impeachment. But really, I wouldn't say that's a sure thing. But because of the Capitol Hill riot and stuff, there might be a momentum. But in all the real stuff like minimum wages and, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff, I see them not at all on the Democratic
But this is a whole nother subject where this is another example, though, where the Democratic Party has lost its ideological focus, okay? Because Democrats would never endorse an after the president has already left impeachment for the purpose of stopping him from getting elected again. Because Democrats always believed you should be able to elect a frog president if that's what you want to do. If the American people want to elect an asshole, that should be the American people's right. And the very fact that the Democrats now look like they want to stop, that makes them look again like fascists. Okay, the fact that they're trying to stop Trump from running.
It's the fact that Trump's above the law.
Well, it doesn't matter.
He should go to jail.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you believe in a democracy, you believe that people should be obeyed. And if it's the will of the people to elect a complete lying, scummy asshole, it should be their right.
No, but if they elect a criminal, he should go to jail.
Right. They didn't convict him of a crime. So I'm just saying, go ahead and convict him of a crime, and then talk to me about that. Okay. Then talk to me about that.
But this is the problem with the Democrats.
I'm saying the messaging is I'm talking about the messaging. So what's the message you're sending to the Trumpies? I'm a fascist. I'm going to stop you from voting for your candidate. I'm going to make him unelectable. Blah blah blah. You're looking like the fascist again. The liberals look like the fascists.
Lock her up. What about lock her up? They're fine with locking up criminals.
We're not arguing who committed what crime first. What I'm saying to you quite clearly is if Jesus is committing as many sins as the devil, what's the fucking point?
Well, I want them all to go to jail. I'd be happy for Hillary to go to jail as part of that deal.
I don't want either one of those deals, because this is all politics, and it's just idiotic if you start trying to throw people.
You don't think there's any real crimes on either one of those cases?
Which ones? The Hillary email stuff?
No, Trump,
okay, yeah, no, I don't think Hillary should go to jail, okay, because she had a private email service.
They never caught her, and they did investigate. But Trump has a lot of uninvestigated things where the reason they
right, but those are getting investigated.
They think the president's above the law.
Well, I think the president.
That's their precedent.
So, to some extent, while he's president, okay, he should be. But obviously, again, if he was making deals with foreign countries for personal gain, and now the Supreme Court has basically said that's okay. All right, so what are you going to say? He didn't break the law.
You know what? No, here's one example where I think he very clearly did. Is you're not allowed to go to your own hotel and pay your own self money out of the federal treasury. That's illegal.
Well, I'm just saying the Supreme Court has just said, oh, no, it's really okay.
Well, no, they didn't exactly say that.
Well, it's close enough to exact. So.
Okay, so wait, what ruling are you talking about?
I'm talking about their most recent ruling on monuments. Monuments.
No, because there was no standing. That's the problem. No, who can sue on that? You're supposed to have to impeach, right? Because ultimately, at the very last step with the president, the Congress actually has this pseudo.
Well, I'm just saying
if they won't impeach, then they say nobody has standing. There's no controlling authority.
The least of Trump's
it's absolutely not legal.
The least of Trump's crimes, okay, are his hotel bills. Okay, his self, paying himself. Al
Capone went to jail for tax evasion.
Well, I'm just saying that's I know, but is that really the way you want it to work?
What do you think's his big crime then?
Well, his big crime is.
I think it's jailing refugee babies, but that actually isn't illegal in the same way as emoluments.
Well, right? I don't think again, refugee babies is that's more liberal rhetoric, right? Because these are all.
So I'm acknowledging that. What do you think the real crime is of Trump? That was
the whole idea that he was extorting the entire Justice Department to do his bidding. I mean, it was outrageous. I mean, you can't do that as president.
Yeah, and I think there's things, but I don't know what the letter of the law that you catch him on that, but I think there is, because there is laws about that. But he's also shown how, in a way, I think there's a lot of things that aren't as abstract and they're just ignored from the Constitution. But he did also show some of the things where we just kind of assume you can trust the sheriff to be the sheriff. And there's nobody that can arrest the top sheriff, because we were hoping that wouldn't be necessary or something.
Well, I mean,
they obviously need to be arrestable, I think. Right in when they're in office and everything. I would start a fucking investigate the president department that was independent.
I don't think they should even have to. I only think they should even have to, because anybody who wants to be president should accept being monitored 24 hours a day. Every single thing you do should be recorded. Okay, and
every single one of those representatives.
You don't get any life. Okay,
I would double their salary if we did that. That would be fine,
right, zero private life, zero anything. Yes, no, it all doesn't get on YouTube, but it all gets monitored by unbiased authorities to say, is he raping anybody, or is he, anything you're doing.
Well, and it could roll out to the public 25 years later, like
exactly. I'm just saying, after you're dead, then we'll really humiliate you. But the point is, if you want the job, okay, if you really think you have something to give to the human race, then you're going to be willing to endure high scrutiny, high accountability.
There's a lot of people that would do that. I've been watching these guys. He's a little bit right-wing, the one I watch the most, that's like a First Amendment auditor. He goes to prisons, post offices, everything, and films, and then just waits for the cops to come and all the stuff, because he totally has the right to do that, First Amendment and whatnot. But the interesting thing is, I actually think there's something to this. It's like, people, if you don't, so many people think you have to get the right to film somebody, but how are you supposed to take a picture of your kids at Disneyland? Or how are you supposed to ever have a photograph of New York? You're in a public place, and to a degree there is a threshold here of where who would be a representative if they had to put body cams on or something. Well, guess what? There are some people, and those are probably the ones that we need. The ones that think they're going to shine on camera and take that chance, and we can decide whether they make it. I think we ought to really be at the threshold of, some people, we need cops like that.
Exactly. Well, I would apply the same account.
Cops that want that for their own safety, right? Because it's a witness.
Well, exactly, and it also gives a great deal of immunity for the cops who wish to out the other cops and all of that kind of crap, all the shenanigans. You should be rewarded for catching a cop in a crime. You should get paid for that. Like you get a real $20,000 for you caught a cop being breaking the law. And cops should be perfectly willing to be under that scrutiny. Okay, yeah, I can't arrest people for doing, smoking pot if I'm smoking pot. I can't arrest people for doing this and this and this if I'm breaking those same laws. I mean, that's too simple. It's too obvious. I mean, if you can't tow that hoe, if you got to beat your wife, don't apply for the job.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward because, I mean, we got 300 million people. And the thing is, there's too many cops. We could have less cops if we just got the right kind, for that matter. So,
well, we should have all kinds of levels of whatever, cultural security. So there should be, unarmed social workers. Yeah. There should be all kinds of, because we're paying these cops way too much money for way too little. Okay, and we could do most of their work could be done by bureaucrats. Okay, so just have the guy you're paying the real money for who has to go in there with the SWAT team, and do the dirty work. All right, so have your cleaners, have your negotiators, have your, but they don't layer it, so they're paying everybody way. I mean, the old town I used to live in, right? It had 11 cops, and 7 of them were sergeants, and got sergeant pay.
Yeah.
I mean.
So, okay, I'm making some assumptions here where, one, you probably agree that Republicans right now are crazy enough that you wish the Democrats would get their act together. So if that's the case, like even the Democrats with their kind of old school corruption and idiocy, we'd be better trying to improve them than what's going on with the QAnon Republicans. What do you think that they should or can do? I mean, because I do think, for example, just Biden doing something stupid and losing the midterms and
here's an example. Here's an example.
What do you think they do to avoid that?
Here's an example. Well, look, this is all about building a coalition. So it's really about what people do you want on your side, okay, and what price you'll pay for having them on your side, right? So if you were best friends with my worst enemy, well, that would be points against me having any possible coalition with you, right? Because I know you're tainted and you're going to fuck me over because you're, the guy who's out to kill me is your friend, blah, 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 blah. I'm saying look at the price. The Democrat Party is going to pay a huge price for this placating of immigration, right? Because these voters don't even vote Democrat. So that's the big joke, okay, is that these immigrants don't even vote Democrat. They're religious kooks, okay? They're gonna vote for their religious fascism. They're not for your liberal ideas, okay? They're gonna vote against you. And that's the irony. It's like the teachers union. There's lots of places where these unions have totally sold the Democratic Party out, okay? They talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk when it comes to voting. And so here the Democratic Party has sitting there and spilled real blood to defend them, and they don't get the real blood back when it comes time to vote.
Really tough practical position where there's no way they can back off of DACA support,
I'm saying that they can. I'm saying just understand what constituent. I'm saying that the middle class working guy who just wants a fair break, that guy is a much bigger constituency. I'm saying that one numbers 20, 30, 40, 50 million people, okay, and that's the one the Democratic Party threw away. The Reagan Democrats. That's what the Democratic Party threw away. All right, and for a part.
But they did a great con job. That it just worked. What are we supposed to do on the other side? I mean, I'm not.
It's not a con job. Anti-immigration is not a con job. I'm sorry, it really isn't. Immigration is a real. It's a real social. Cultural liability. I see it every day. Don't tell me it's not a real problem, because I see it every day. Where I live now, nobody, there isn't like, you couldn't get a
group. The job was that Reagan's Republican Party, post-Nixon Republicans, were actually going to help.
I understand that, but that's not what made. That's not what drove. That's not what drove the liberal. That's not what drove the working class whites away. What drove them away was the insane spending and the immigrants. They hate welfare. Okay, they despise welfare. They despise it. Okay,
because Reagan spent more.
He didn't spend more.
On welfare.
No, he didn't. That's
on the
not true.
military.
That's not true. He put in place workfare. So at the end of the Reagan era, workfare was put into place.
On welfare, but he spent the money elsewhere.
Well, the point, and don't give me your argument. We can give every baby $5 million if we just quit spending money in Iraq. Okay, this isn't about this isn't about killing the military. It's about pragmatic politics. I'm just saying, this will not, their strategy, if they keep pushing this welfare state, unlimited money, let's forgive all debts. If they keep pushing that, they're...
Oh, you reminded me. So I paid my way through college. Oh, my dog. And I couldn't get a loan because it was Reagan years, and I was, even though my family had a house worth $79,000, but they owed more than $79,000. I thought it was a little, actually, there was various things involved with that. But anyway, so I couldn't get that, but I ended up having to drop out for a couple of years, and I was working, and then I paid the debt, and I went back to work, and I paid it through myself. So I'm one of the people with no student debt. And I wouldn't mind if other people, to me, that's like if somebody dies of polio and then they make a polio cure, you don't get bitter that your dad died of polio and now
it's not about being bitter. It's just about this whole... No, it isn't. But you're just giving people a free ride. You're just saying, look, you're just endorsing reckless and sloppy behavior. Make loans you can't pay. Okay, so it's the same thing as I should go out and buy a house I can't really afford. Okay, and hope the system crashes and the government will say I get to keep my house even though I only paid $39 on it. So even though I only have $39 of equity in the damn house, okay, some dopey liberal's going to say, oh, he gets to keep his mansion.
Well, what about this? What about you could at least have bankruptcy just like every other debt?
Well, again, they're bankrupt, so we had to change the bankruptcy laws because it got way too expensive. So again, you're just saying, let's just go bankrupt. You're saying, let's go bankrupt.
Well, bankruptcy is a thing you can do. Why should student loans be accepted from it?
Because you have all the time. Because you have all the time in the world to pay it back. I mean, all the government wants, they're giving you a free ride, okay? They're not making any profit. They're just charging you the cost of the loan, and they're giving you an infinite amount of time to pay it back. Okay, I know people who are 74 years old, and they still have student loans.
Yeah, so that's another thing. If they're never going to be paid back, you're better off economically just to forgiving it.
I'm just saying, no, you're not better off because the principle is as ugly as fuck. Again, I'm just offended that you think this is good politics. That you think you think this is the integrity. Having integrity is yes. Go to Las Vegas, get drunk, go to Las Vegas, lose your house, and we'll give it back to you.
No, I can see that. I think it's a different category, but obviously that's the problem against it. The thing is, to me, that leans me towards the forgiveness is just I saw what happened when we started doing student loans. I thought it was an okay idea, but no, that's what made student tuition like 10 times more. It's like free money and boom, 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 and all these people are making money, and now it's kind of ridiculous because being in debt to $10,000 for your college education is one thing. But, like $40,000 and you even just went to a local, non-prestigious, just regular school, and that's normal. So
I know, but who the real liability is here is none of these people took the thing seriously. They spent their student loan money, going to, whatever, Lofi Day in Florida, having pizza parties and booze, and they lived high, drank and smoked and did whatever the fuck they want on the government.
Well, I mean, there is that, but I mean, I also know people that got business degrees and stuff and probably are going to pay it off, but they're making $40,000 a year and $50,000 of debt. It's hard. It's like,
well, it's not. You know better than that. That it really isn't that bad. You get a mortgage on a house, you pay it. It's no big deal. After 30 years, you own it. No big deal. Well, whatever. I don't want to argue it to death. I'm just saying that the guy who paid his bills, who's never had a credit card company come after, and he's never had his car repossessed, and he's never done any of that crap, he hears what you're talking about, and he says, "Boy, that sucks. I ain't for that crap."
Well, no, but that's me. I've always been really hardworking. And
Well, I'm just saying,
responsible.
but you're forgiving it. You're saying
But
you're
I'm,
for
yeah,
forgiving. I'm just saying that 9 out of
and
10.
I see what you're saying. Sometimes I could feel that way in life, you know. So I totally, of course, I get that. Well, you know, I think I'm gonna have to go. But did you want to? Was there any other topic that you did want to talk about, or if you did want to do the meaning of life or anything, or otherwise just wrap up? Or I want to give you a chance to you know, not
Well,
just
you're
cut
the
us
one
off,
who
but
needs.
It's been about an hour, it says.
You're the one who needs. You never prepare for a specific subject, so it's impossible.
I do.
No, you don't. You
Prompt
don't.
to.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. Yes,
Okay,
I do.
well, but I
write
did
notes
think it
wrong.
would. It
I've
might.
you not remembering. I've made PowerPoints and everything.
It might. Well, I'm just saying, never for a conversational video anyway. But anyway, so in the future, it might be worthwhile that we maybe play a Feynman video. Okay,
Yeah,
and we'll both watch it, and I'll point out where Feynman is completely full of bullshit, and then you can make rationalizations why it's okay that he's talking complete shit.
That sounds like a realistic expectation. I think we might be able to pull that off since this went smoothly enough. So and we did disagree. So yeah, I would do that because that would also be interesting. You know, rewatching most of those we both watched. You know, and that might be actually quite interesting, I think. So. Okay, well, let's stay in touch. We're finally back in touch on Skype. Not that we weren't before, but I haven't even, you know, used Skype for like 4 years, but you're still on there. So, all right, well, let's keep in touch, Gary.
All right, till next time and such.
All right,
Yes.
Cheers.
Okay, now I'll insult him when he's gone.
Yeah,
What a fucking idiot!
And, you know, I mean, it is amazing how wrong you are, but
yeah, you are.
I'm glad that was okay, even so.
Well, I mean, how can he wear his brain on the outside of his head like that?
Oh, okay, bye-bye.
Till next time. All right, so yeah, I am still here. We don't need this though. It's good he changed his name, so that's good. So we'll get rid of that. All right, so that's really enough. Sync is probably off, but not much I can do about that. So we'll see if it's a video or not. The camera, it's over here. Yeah, it's the wrong camera. Couldn't get the right camera to work, but anyway. So let's see if it's a video. I don't even know where I'm going to post it though. I guess I'll put it on the inmendham channel.